Good hello and welcome back to yet another installment of Wargaming, whenever. The most apathetic wargaming show on the internet because we just don't really care that much.
We don't.
Um, we really don't. I do apologize for us being away for a couple of weeks. I've had a couple of mental health issues I've been dealing with. So that's why we've just kind of gone radio silent on that. But we are back. So given that we're back and mental health is back on track, if there's a mental health charity near you, go donate some money because it's the right thing to do.
And I'm not apologizing for being away because I still don't care. Apathetic.
He is very apathetic and just does not care,
I do not.
especially about facts. Everything is confirmed just from us merely saying, for example, 10th edition is going to be called Age of the Emperor. This is now confirmed according to Callum.
In saying that, prove me wrong.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Show to me somewhere where it says it is not going to be called Age of the Emperor.
That's not how this works. Oh, what have I done? Look, there was the rumors that you were promised that we would make. So speaking of rumors, we'll jump straight into our first little thing here. There was supposed to be a little video. There we go. I'm going to put that across there.
There's been a lot of rumors for 10. Some of them have been excellent.
So there, that's that. Which Callum didn't see, but I just played the video from Warhammer Community of the Nid with the Terminator in its eyes. So what do we think, Cal? Do we think this is confirmation? Of course, we think it's confirmation of everything. So both of the statements I'm about to make are confirmed according to Callum. Simultaneously, this is confirming Space Hulk is returning. And also that it's not returning, that's actually just the starter set for 10th edition will be Nids versus Blood Angels. Which is, both of these are simultaneously confirmed and denied at the same time. I call this the Callum paradox.
Schrodinger's war game.
Schrodinger's wargaming.
But look, it falls into as we see a lot. We get a lot of rumors, especially in 40k. We get a lot of leaks, whether it be GWs. Oh no, that wasn't supposed to come out.
Yeah, that was definitely intentional. Whenever those leaks happen.
Yeah, we definitely didn't mean to show you Angron. But it was a set photo. And unless you're using literally like an old Nokia 7515 with a VGA camera, remember that square thing that looked like a Twisties logo?
Yeah, it had all of 36 pixels.
If you had 36 of the phones, yeah.
Yes.
but yeah, there is just no camera alive these days that will produce a photo like that. It has to be
such a rubbish photo that was. Obviously intentional.
Yeah, it wasn't even a good intentional. Like, you have either the money or the people on staff, even though you don't want to give their names, or credit to their faces, that you could have done it so it did actually look like a proper blurred out photo. But no, it was just, let's find something like UCut or CapCut, or a free Samsung app that has 14 ads before you can actually export the final project,
and just make it as shit looking as possible.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. But no, it has kind of fallen into a couple of categories that we have seen leaked kind of within the last 12 to 18 months. One of them being that Blood Angels and Dark Angels are going to get a bit of a pop for a model range, which so far we have seen the Dark Angels.
I mean, having Blood Angels getting new stuff should be exciting. I want to see them get some specialized vehicles, and I'm not just saying that because shooting your opponent with their own tank is very fun.
So I would look, Blood Angels are kind of they're pretty due for a model refresh, especially of
Oh yeah,
characters. Like the Dante model is pretty
he's
bad.
still Finecast, isn't he?
Yeah. And he was used off of the molds of like the pewter.
Yeah, so they just took the
Like
pewter mold and injected resin into it, and what could possibly go wrong?
yeah.
Whoever made that
Um
decision needs to be taken out and given a firm talking to.
yeah, but so like you could actually you can like the parts in the Sanguinary Guard kit, like you can make a Dante that looks exactly the same from I think it's only like a 38 or a $41 set now.
Mm,
That's how much GW don't care about that particular box. Um
yeah, pretty much. I mean, even Dante himself, like most
yeah,
characters now, you're looking at 50, 60, 70 Australian dollars. He's 30
yeah,
bucks. And
yeah.
he
That
is a
that's a testament.
finely detailed resin cast kit that comes in 3 components and is supplied with a 25 millimeter base.
All of those components are now shaped like a twisty.
Yes.
It's oh no, it
And even
actually
if you
saw
straighten
somebody
them out,
defending Finecast recently.
what? Why?
Yeah,
It's
saying, "Oh, it takes a little bit of
dreadful.
extra work to clean up, but after you do it, the detail is excellent."
The detail on plastic is excellent. But the what? No,
Yeah.
the biggest problem with Finecast by far is that even after you spend the effort to clean it up, you put it in warm water, bend it back into shape. As soon as it gets left in a case in the
Mhm.
boot of a car for half an hour while you're driving over to your mate's place, it's now bent out of shape again,
Yep.
and you've already painted it, which means you're going to end up, damaging that paint trying to unbend it. It's
Yeah.
so
Or
terrible.
you just have to live with Picasso's version of Dante.
I mean, I've got a Technomancer on my shelf that looks like
Mhm.
the wind is blowing his solid metal chin piece to the side.
Well, to be fair, it is living metal, like, that could have actually been his
Mm,
beard before he was turned. Like,
I don't think that's how it works.
that could just be, like, millions of microbots pretending to be a beard.
Just blowing it in the wind, just like
Yeah, just
"Moo."
yeah, think of, like, a slightly more metallic, shinier version of a beard of bees.
Acceptable. I love it.
Now you're gonna have
Um,
to paint stingers and yellow stripes on it.
but back to rumors and that
Yes,
that short
so
video. I mean, they haven't given really any information with it at all. Just like here's a video of a Nid Eye with a Terminator in it.
well, see, that's where I think they are very, very, quite strategic with they're definitely not their leaks. Um, because it was leaked out some time ago back actually with the Eldari leaks that had
It was
actually
Nids
all
versus
come to
Blood
pass,
Angels for the 10
that it
credit
was gonna
starter
be
set.
yeah. And that Nids were getting a complete well, not a complete, but a heavily, heavily refreshed model line,
I mean, their
which
Gene Stealer models are what, 15 years old at this point?
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, and the similar rumors, put them across a similar timeline as the Seraphon, the Lizard Men refresh, which we have seen, oh, what event just went past? LVO, where it was an actual release that Seraphon are getting new models. They're getting a complete
Mm,
refresh.
yeah.
So that's starting to all kind of fall into place there. But this is where I think they're quite good at what they do with their definitely not us leaking.
Yeah, definitely
Um,
not. Look, given this video, I see one of two possibilities. And personally, I think it's most likely that the leak around, given that it did come along with that Eldar leak, which turned out to be pretty much spot on,
yeah.
um, that was definitely just GW leaking it.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then this video is meant to be, oh, maybe it's Space Hulk. Wink.
Look, don't get me wrong. There may be another version of Space Hulk. I haven't heard anything about it, but in saying that, it doesn't really fall into 40K leaks, given it's its own kind of system. But
Hmm.
Enough of its own system that most people that play 40k don't care.
I don't look. That's the real thing. Is I don't think that there's enough of a Space Hulk player base to be
No.
able to actually for them to bother with it. Whereas there's plenty of NIDS players out there that desperately want a refreshed range.
Yeah.
Um,
But so like, even with that, like I think they've noticed that there's been a massive shift for the last few years in tabletop wargaming for skirmish games. So things that aren't, full big multi miniatured armies. Like when you look at things like even inside the GW kind of bracket, like Warcry, Underworlds, Kill Team, that got a refresh fairly recently
well, the
as
thing is,
well.
Kill Team is a bit of a it's a bit of a gateway
Yeah,
drug to 40k because it is much more accessible just because of
yeah,
the model count.
exactly. Yeah.
Whereas things like Space Hulk, they don't come on standard bases. They're not standard miniatures. You can use them in 40k, and I have played against someone that did. It was a fun game. Go back and check the archive for a game I played against Chris's Gene Stealer Cults.
Mm.
That was a fantastic game. Lava is the best mechanic ever invented.
And look, Space Hulk by itself is actually pretty good.
Oh, it's a great
Like,
game.
yeah.
Released in what was it, 1998, for DOS.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think it actually might be a touch older. A touch
It is
way
a bit
older.
older.
Yeah, because it's because we're talking about like kind of Hero Quest kind of
Yeah.
timing.
I mean, it's
Little newer than Hero Quest, but
I think I'm gonna have to look that up now. It's gonna drive me mental.
yeah, you wake
Because
up at 3 a.m. sweating thinking about it.
it's the same sort of it's the same generation as like the original Fallout.
Yeah, yeah. But like, yeah, so as I was saying, like with the skirmish things, like so many things, even like your big armied games that are seeing popularity, don't actually have as many miniatures. So like Star Wars Legion, for example, which is picking up, especially after Fantasy Flight kind of fell to the winds and Atomic Mass Games took over. It's only an 800 point army. Like I
Oh,
literally have assembled my entire Legion army the other day, and there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 30 miniatures, 35 miniatures.
look, you know what game's even more accessible than Legion as far as how quickly you can get models on the table?
Mm,
Fallout Wasteland Warfare.
yeah,
Because the models in the starter kit it come assembled.
it's strange like that, isn't it? There's
But
so
Space
many
Hulk,
games that are.
the video game was released in 1993,
Okay, yeah,
so a little bit older. But also fantastic game. I remember
yeah.
having to emulate DOS to play it back in high school. Good times.
Emulating DOS.
Yes.
Wow, that must have used up the whole 2 kilobytes.
And the rest, the other couple of bits.
Back where you couldn't fit a page of text on a single floppy disk.
I'm having PTSD just from you mentioning that.
Floppy disk. I just remember playing with the slide.
I'm waiting for one of my kids to find an old floppy disk laying around and be like, Dad, why did you 3D print the save icon?
My son actually recently found my old iPod Nano,
Oh, geez.
and
What?
the kids just couldn't work out that it's a trackpad, not a touchscreen.
Yeah, there's no touchscreen on a Nano.
Yeah, I was like, just scroll around and then press the button. They're like, and they're trying to like they're flicking on the screen, and then they thought the button was like the lock button, and it was
Trolling kids,
wild.
whole world of fun.
Yeah, but no, back to the leaks. So yeah, it's falling in with what they've released with the whole Terminator.
I reckon we're going to be seeing Blood Angels
Pyramid.
Terminators in the next
Yeah.
starter set.
Yeah, 100%. I will say 100%. Everybody else is likely to say 99%. But yes, no, it's
I'm willing to give it a functional 100% probability.
Okay, that's pretty good for you.
You know, I'm saying functional, and this is assuming that like the Earth doesn't get hit by a quasar pulse from somewhere, and we all just don't get obliterated.
This is literally as close as Jono comes to saying confirmed without it
I'm
being
not
released
saying the
for
C
4
word.
weeks.
We do
Yeah.
not say the C word on this show, Callum.
Was that the C word?
No, I'm not saying the C word.
Speaking of C words,
Oh, geez.
YouTube has recently updated their
I did see
swearing.
that. So Callum, you will have to stop being so much of a potty mouth.
No, it is the reverse.
Wait, really? I didn't look into it because
They
I
have
don't care enough.
loosened the reins. So basically, they've categorized things into average swearing and then heavy swearing, and
Oh, okay.
then the amount of swearing that comes through. But for your lower kind of like shit, bitch, that kind of thing, fine. Minimal doesn't count apparently, unless you put it written into a title or your thumbnail.
Did they like hire Australia to run their censorship department or something?
I'm almost certain that Major Kill sent in a letter of please explain. The guy that started every single video up until 12 months ago with "G'day cunts."
Look, Major Kill is fantastic. Have you been on his Discord?
Yes, I'm
It's
on his
pretty
Discord.
great.
Yeah, it's exactly what you would expect from a Discord server of Major Kill.
Yes, oh man, that guy he is very Australian.
So Australian. Is
With
that
Major
like
Kill, if you're watching, feel free to come on, just flick us a message. I'm easy to
I've
find, you're
I've been
impossible to find.
I have his email address.
Oh,
I've emailed him a couple of times before. He just doesn't reply.
that's fair. I mean, you are
But just
kind of the
super hard to
worst.
get off. Oh yeah, don't like if you talk to the other creators. God,
The worst.
I am a bit of a punish as far as
He's
actually trying to
painful
get
to
things
deal with.
going. Yeah, I can be
He never
horribly
shows
so.
up on time, always throwing out excuses.
I think you're confusing me with somebody else. Somebody that comes with a swear counter.
Yes, someone that oh look, we won't go there. Because we might actually get demonetized. Oh wait. We never got monetized in the first place.
Don't talk to me about monetization since they have split your actual viewing hours, your viewed hours. It doesn't count for shorts because they're now monetized shorts separately now.
Oh, okay.
So up until then, I was just like, and I've
You were
clicked
just
over.
about to tick over to the point where you could monetize. Haha, sucked in.
Yeah, I so at the moment I've got like a 1100 subs,
Good work.
but in what like 4 months or something, which is all the shorts. That's what it is.
It's
But I
amazing.
was
It's almost
literally,
like actually making content will get you subs.
to be fair, I'm doing like 2 videos a day. It's and still trying to be engaging. Like I get a lot of comments that I
Yeah,
have
look,
to talk to people.
some of us have full-time jobs we have to go to.
Well, that's my thing. I'm gonna try and make this my full-time job. But I am enjoying it, and that's the main thing.
That's good. As long as you're enjoying it. It's
Yeah.
when you stop enjoying it that it becomes painful.
If I stop enjoying it, I stop doing it. It's gonna be as simple as that.
That's fair. That is completely fair. But look, I don't think we have much else to say on those rumors. Look, starter set almost certainly
Yeah.
going to be Blood Angels versus Nids. The box will most certainly be packed full of value. These starter sets usually are.
Well, as close to value as GW gets now with the new 6% price hike.
Look, it's still less than inflation.
Yeah,
I mean,
I suppose.
at the moment.
But yeah, but when we have inflation and then we have the price hike,
No.
It's
The
all
price
around.
hike is the inflation. That's how these things are defined.
I thought we were talking about real world plus than the price hike.
I mean, Australia's currently sitting at 7.8% inflation, so a 6% price hike. is actually a price reduction, technically speaking, because your money doesn't buy as much of anything else, and
it's just
it's gone up slower than everything else has gone up.
it's just but in saying that, like, this is really just to
In saying that,
please the shareholders.
look, I'm pleased. um, but look, the simple fact is, if you want cheap miniatures, there's this magical website called ebay.com.
Or you play just
Or
about any other war
just go
game.
play a different game. That's fine
Yeah.
too.
Like, there's
Play
so
Fallout
many
Wasteland
out there that
Warfare.
are
I like that
amazingly
game.
cheap.
And there will be some. I do have plans for some stuff on Fallout Wasteland Warfare coming up soon. And by soon, I mean sometimes between now and the end of the universe.
Somewhere between now and never, there's going to
Yes.
be something. Maybe.
See, look, here's a thing. Ooh, and that's all you're seeing of that. Moving on though.
I'll leak the potato footage of it.
Oh, I swear, if you do and you don't at least make it look like it was taken on a Nokia 3310, I will be very, very disappointed.
I'll do you one better. I'll pull out. I've got a Razor 3 here for some reason that we found when we moved.
Look, that will do the job.
If it turns on, I will take the photo of the photo on the screen.
But look, moving on to Arcs of Omen is actually kind of balanced like.
This is great because I was also prepared for this part of the show. I have the last Meta Monday results.
Ooh, do they kind of line up with this graph?
That's where I was hoping to check.
Because it looks like, most of it kind of it's sitting in that 45 to 55% range, which is good. Couple of outliers.
As we go through it, I'll find the matching stats.
So yeah, there's a little video on there if you guys want to go watch that. It's all on Warhammer Community. And not only is the bulk of factions sitting in that mid range, but it's a very smooth like transition from the top of that range to the bottom. You don't really have any massive drops anywhere, which is great to see.
Even Deathwatch sitting at 39% doesn't feel as bad when your top faction is only sitting at 59%.
Yes, I mean that's
like we were like last
between
season.
That's a fair bit still, but it's not. It's
but
nowhere near as dumb as like when
we were looking at 72 to 36%,
which was just proper completely fucked and broken.
Yeah.
Genestealer cults being right up there is very interesting, and I think that's more down to just the people that play them are really good at the game.
I have been saying this for so goddamn long that Genestealer Coat's book has the tools in it to be an incredibly well-rounded faction and very powerful, but it comes down to the players. You have to be slightly more advanced to play it to start with, but then you also have to be more tactical than the circle that you're playing them in, which is a huge thing.
Yeah, you can't just take Genestealer cults, set them up on the table willy-nilly and hope to win. You have to really put some thought into it. And unless you're okay with really pissing off your opponent by taking 3 hours just to deploy your army, it's such a pain in the ass. Something I was kind of surprised by, but also not at the same time, is just with how low Thousand Suns are sitting, because their book is pretty good. I think it's largely, as they did mention in this video up here, it's largely to do with their secondaries.
Yeah.
And their abilities to interfere with other armies scoring secondaries. They just don't really have a good matchup at the moment.
The other thing that you have to take into consideration, which they didn't really touch on, and not a lot of people do touch on it, except for the Meta Monday articles, is what the player base actually is. Like, you can, if you're running, say, a 25, 30 people event, and you only get one person come in and play a specific faction. I mean, is that one
It's very
person?
swingy because
Yeah,
if they're quite skilled, then they'll do well, and that will push
yeah,
that faction's win rate up a lot. Whereas
yeah.
if they're just went into a Games Workshop yesterday morning and were like, "Oh, that looks cool. I'll have that." Went home, assembled it, and then brought it to a tournament the next day because they're insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And that's the thing. Thousand Sons have fallen out of they've fallen out of popularity a fair bit. We saw the decline a little bit before the last starter slate, and
Mm.
then AOC disappeared, which they became a little less tanky. They're still pretty tanky, as Zach and I were talking the other day, but nowhere near as what they used to be.
Oh, they were basically. I I remember fighting Chris's Thousand Sons where he'd bring like 30,
Oh,
40 rubric marines with
Warp
armor
Flamers.
of contempt and two squads with warp flamers. And you teleport him. There's nothing you can do other than just
No,
screen it out and just sacrifice a unit.
that's it.
Um, Obviously, then afterwards going and murdering the fuck out of them.
And say, and that was a big play by a lot of the meta. Like that won tournaments.
Oh yeah,
Like, and to be fair, it was a good play. It was
it's a
good
very
for
good play,
starters. Yeah.
but it's kind of very much a one-trick pony type thing.
Yes.
And once you
Well,
know how to get around that trick, it's like, oh, okay, well they're nullified.
yeah. The only issue is like we're a little bit different since
We're
we're
very
not
different.
really
We
we
don't
don't
play the
enter
meta at
tournaments.
all.
Yeah.
It's
But we're
something
also
we will get
playing the
into in a
same
moment
people.
about that. Is that I won technically six, although one of them I don't count as a game at all because it ended Necron's shooting phase turn one. But I won 100% of my games over the last week playing Necrons.
But see, this is the other thing when we play the same people and the same armies over and over and over
Yep,
again.
you know what they're gonna
It's
bring. You know what they're
yeah,
gonna do. It's very
yeah.
predictable.
Unless you play somebody like me, the only prediction you can make with me is turn one, I'm going to be as hyper aggressive as possible. Turn two,
You're gonna.
let's just see what happens after that.
Yep. Oh look, I'll have to fight you with the three Lords of War Necron list that I took against Chris sometime. That list, it's not good. It's not a good list, just to be clear. It's a lot of fun.
All right, well, I'll make something equally as fun and ridiculous. Let's do
You know,
3 brass scorpions.
oh Jesus
It's
Sure,
actually
why
something
not?
I've always wanted to do, but it's
Why not?
thank you, TTS, because in real life, I probably can't go and flog off like 3 grand.
Yeah, brass scorpions are not cheap.
All great sculpts, to be honest.
They are fantastic. Something I did really notice with this, Necrons have really fallen out of favor as far as win rate,
They
since their
have.
secondaries took a hit,
Yeah.
and the Silent King also lost core.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they really have. But like the other thing that I think people should be paying a little bit more attention to is a few things. Is especially the top 4, top 5.
Hmm.
We're seeing orcs come back into it a little bit.
Chaos Demons.
Yeah, but other than
Custodes are
James
still right
Sword,
up there.
yeah. Well, they got some of their stuff, some of the restrictions unrestricted.
Which, is good for them.
Yeah. But the thing that we're really looking at is the difference that AOC makes.
Oh, it makes a massive difference.
And that's what we can see out there because like the custodians were struggling a little bit because well, one, they didn't get AOC, which good God, could you imagine if they did?
It would be disgusting.
Oh,
Only Grey Knights are allowed to have the -1+ save.
and that's from stacking something. That's not even just native. Like AOC would have made that native.
It's disgusting.
But like demons were fairly high up to start with because their book is crazy good at the moment. Have been for a while.
I'm not sure I'd say crazy good, but it's definitely good.
Look, as far in that thing of good and pre-nerfed Leagues of Votan, I'd say demons are probably just about there. Like it's
Eh.
But orcs, and this is the funny thing. So what I was actually saying before, if you look at the last couple of months of last season, before the data slate dropped, a lot of these armies were only shifted down slightly in mid tier.
Hmm.
As far as percentage goes, like as far as actually on the board, it was a very different story and what was actually taking tournaments. But their percentage was only a little bit down. We've only just swapped out what really needed AOC to go off, except for Dark Angels because they were stupid to start with. It's just
Dark
people
Angels
getting
are
around for a
stupid.
while.
They also should be a supplement for the Chaos Space Marine Codex, not for the Standard Space Marine Codex.
Yes.
You know it is true, Christopher.
Well, that kind of does play into the rumors of the other leaks that, or it's not a leak, but rumor.
Wait, do it.
Um,
It's the line coming back, isn't it?
hey?
It's the line coming back, isn't it?
Oh, no, nothing to do with that, but it
Oh,
would make sense. Because it's gonna have to happen. There's no way they put this much emphasis on Dark Angels without bringing back the line.
they bring back
Especially
Legion
after.
Russ.
Actually, I'd love to see that bait and switch.
Oh, can you imagine how pissed off Dark Angels players would be if they did that? Games
They'd
Workshop,
actually turn traitor.
if you're watching, please do that.
Do
I
it.
would find it so amusing.
But there has been a lot of talk recently, well, for a while now, about a supplement, Angels of Death, which was supposed to be Dark Angels and Blood Angels, like we actually had a few editions ago.
Mm.
And especially now with seeing Dark Angels get a bit of a boost in one popularity, but two with their rules and new model support. And if we're going to go into leaks and teasers of Blood Angels coming out as starter pack, that's a possibility.
Maybe.
And we're getting to the end of 9th. So we're just about due for the whole Space Marine refresh. They get 2 every edition.
Well, here's the thing. Do you think that, given how close we are towards the end of 9th, if they will actually get a Space Marines 2?
100%. Yeah, they'll make extra money. They've got to justify Space Marines being the poster child somehow.
Well, I mean, you get like what, a couple of months out of the codex then before they go and release 10th edition and get a new codex.
To be fair, well, one, they've done it for like the last 3 or 4 editions.
I mean, I don't play
2,
Space Marines, so I haven't been paying attention to them.
Yeah. And 2, it is honestly just what kind of GW do with just about all books.
Suppose.
You get your first quarter to be able to play with it, and before it's completely changed anyway.
I suppose.
Unless you're a squat, and then you get 6 days of having a brand new shiny book.
I don't even think they really got that.
Yeah,
Wasn't it FAQ'd on release? Or am I thinking of something else?
No, so FAQ on release
Was NIDS. It was
NIDS.
NIDS.
Yes.
I was like, I swear, I'm thinking of something that was stupid overpowered in the last 12 months that got FAQ'd on release.
Yeah, so squats, it wasn't even technically released, because
It was before they were released. See, I'm right. I'm always right,
so
except for when I'm left.
They had that starter box was out for 6 days, and then they got hit with that, and then a little while later we saw the apology from James.
Oh, that was such a good apology.
Especially since he didn't want to make it.
He really did not. Look, why can't squats just have every army's rules? It just makes sense.
And my favorite part of this, and Zach and I were talking about this the other day as well, it's pure spite that Leagues of Votan are only sitting at 53%, because that book is still incredible.
Yes.
Like you can very easily win most matchups with this book. I don't care what anybody says or what they think they can do in the standings, or they're not very fast, or their secondaries aren't fantastic. I don't care. Their rules, their base rules alone are brilliant.
Well, I mean, pick any army on that list right there, and you can win with it. I mean, as we saw in the results from, I think it was, when was it? It was either the weekend before or the weekend before that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but Deathwatch took one, and I mean they're at the
Yeah.
bottom of the ladder, but they still took one. So
Well, see,
they do have the capacity to do it. It's just very difficult.
that's actually the cool thing. So not the weekend just passed, because overseas they're still in this current weekend, but the one beforehand, there was 13 tournaments across the world. Every single tournament had a different faction win. There
Which is
was no
good.
double ups everywhere. And so I've got the results here. So in Houston, we had GSC win 6-0. In Sweden, we had Chaos Knights win.
Which is surprising because Chaos Knights just conceptually are difficult to score with.
Yeah, always have been. And with such a low model count, it's not difficult to focus fire on one until it's dead.
Yep.
Which is really hard to play around. But we also Black Templars went 5-0, Sisters went 5-0, Blood Angels went 4-0-1. We've got a Death card winning a 56-player tournament.
Jesus.
Inari went 5-0. Black Legion, Drukari, Orcs, Custodes, Squats, and Iron Hands. Like every single result was different. That was the weekend where that Custodes list was
That was
Trajan
okay.
and 36 Sagis.
Isn't Trajan meant to be back on Terra?
Well, I think he's taking a trophy back to Terra now after that.
Apparently.
But oh god, that is probably the most spam list I've ever seen.
But look, I mean, speaking of being able to win with any faction, I did some winning with Necrons.
Yes.
Which is always a fun thing to do because Necron's bad, okay? Their codex is rubbish and there's no way they can ever win. They just do not have the tools to do it, clearly. So I took a win against Guard straight up on Tuesday morning. It was very close. I had 3 models left on the table. To be fair, the Guard player also had about 3 or 4 models left on the table. They weren't
all
tanks.
of them Lehman Russes.
They were not Lehman Russes. I charged with a Locust Destroyer. That's how desperate it was. But it scored me points, which was the important bit.
Yeah.
Because I charged onto an objective, then had more models there, giving me the points.
Yeah.
I didn't need the points. The score was 80-30. I didn't need the points. It was just I could. Then I beat Nids, which was it was a solid fight. Although actually technically that's not exactly correct. So here's the thing about that game. If we'd played turn 5 and the Nid player hadn't effectively conceded.
Wait, did he concede?
He ended the game. The word concede was not set, but the game was ended.
Okay, that's different.
Before turn 5, I would have scored the points to win. But at that point where the game was ended, the Nid player was ahead on points. He'd just emotionally given up and was not keeping score anymore. I had to go back later that evening and check and count through it to be like, okay, where was everything in everyone's command phase to see what would have been scored. So it was a very close game.
Which is important when you're playing Crusade.
It's almost like keeping track of the score is very important because
it's almost like it's the entire mechanic of the game for that specific gameplay mode.
And if you don't keep track of the score and just look at how many models you have dying each turn when you're a horde army, you end up getting discouraged and emotionally giving up when you could have easily won it if you had just not. And then the other game that I played that day, which we don't count because basically Necrons took it turn 1 in the shooting phase. There was some murder. But after that, we effectively canned that crusade because I was being too oppressive, apparently, with my overpowered book. we then just me and Chris played some big games for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
I threw together a Necron list that I was like, that'll be fun to play. There was, a Tesseract Vault in it because that's fun. Against Guard with Lehman Russes.
Which is fun.
The Tesseract Vault exploded. Didn't make it past turn 2 for 2 of the 3 games.
As
And
expected.
in both of those games, it
Oh.
exploded when it went down.
Oh, so it did actually explode.
Yes.
I tell you what, nothing will ever top the explosion of a vault like our game
that
when
was
the elf book dropped.
disgusting.
That was that is still one of my most favorite moments from Wargaming.
It exploded for like, what was it, 12 inches, and then
Yep.
the rolls on my units were just like, there's 6 mortal wounds, there's another 6 mortal wounds, there's another. It wiped out about 2/3 of my army in just one go.
But to be fair, you had your entire army swarmed around. I think there was there was maybe 2 units that it didn't actually reach.
No, it reached all of them. It was 2 units that didn't take 6 mortal wounds. Just the way that board was, though, there was no choice. I had to be crowded around it. It died sooner than I would have liked.
We picked a very poor board to take Titanics in.
Yes. But as far as the game I had against Chris, when it went up, it took about a quarter of his army with it when it exploded, and that's after it had wiped out about a quarter of his army with one turn of Satan powers. Because we were playing the open war cards, and the deployment was he had a 12-inch circle in the middle, and I had like the corners of it, I had every corner. So I just moved in, and boom, there's Satan powers, cosmic fire, everything, every enemy unit within 9 inches took 3 mortal wounds on a 4+, and it was like, there's a 4+, there's a 4+, there's another 4+. It was pretty brutal. And then I also used the Tesla arcing stratagem from the vault into the artillery that he'd set up in the middle of the board, which then arced mortal wounds out to everything. I think I would have dealt close to 100 mortal wounds that game.
Oof.
It was pretty savage.
As savage as that librarian?
More savage. It was worse than the librarian. Because the vault is such a huge model, that 9-inch radius around it's massive, such a huge area. And it just hits everything. And then taking a vault in Mephrit, you want to get it in close, then you're getting +1 AP on your Tesla weapons, especially against Guard, which already don't have great saves. It shreds through them like there's no tomorrow. As far as other games that we played, though, the big game that we had on Friday, where I was like, you know what, I'm just going full send with something as stupid as I can come up with. Tesseract Vault, Monolith, Gauss Pylon. It cost me 6 command points just to take the list.
The pylon was an interesting choice.
It was sitting on my shelf. I figured, why not use it?
It may as well get some kind of use at some point.
It died turn 2 in close combat with a Lehman Russ.
Close combat.
Yeah, so Chris charged it with his Lehman Russ to try to keep me shooting other shit with it. I then killed the Lehman Russ with it. He then used I think it was a stratagem that instead of the Lehman Russ exploding, he just gets to shoot with it again.
Yeah.
And he used that to kill it.
Yeah.
Which was fun. But the vault was there, then the monolith came down, and the monolith just started charging and going num 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 on things. Because after you take, 4 death rays and a particle whip to the face, you don't usually have a lot left in that unit. Monolith then charges, 6 attacks, auto hitting, strength 8, AP -3, flat 3 damage. It rips through stuff in close combat just because of that auto hit.
Yeah. Auto hits are fairly solid. Around the board, though.
I mean, the Necron Titanics, they're not good in competitive match play. Just get this clear. They're too expensive. They cost you command points to take them. And they just restrict your ability to score points. But they are so much fun.
Actually, with Arc of Omens, do they cost CP to take them now?
I'm pretty sure they do.
Because I'm fairly sure in
Actually,
the Arcs attachment, you can take fortifications to Titanics and stuff. Let's have a look.
maybe. But it's a lot of fun. And that game ended with the monolith charging a Lehman Russ tank commander.
Oh, yeah.
So that was exciting. Many booms were had, and yeah, I'm probably not going to be taking Necron Titanics again for a while, as I've scratched that itch. They are a lot of fun,
Yeah, they're
but they're not
free now.
competitive. They're free
You
now.
can take 0 to 3 Lords of War, 0 to 3 fortifications. Yeah, nothing is compulsory.
Okay, well, I know what my next list is. I'm going to take 3
Just
fortifications
those.
as the compulsory choice. Because, they're so bad. The, what's it called? I can never remember their name because no one ever takes them because they're terrible.
That's not
The
narrowing it down.
the Star Steels. Where is it? Necron starter sheet. Convergence of Dominion.
Yeah.
I'll take 3 of those as my
The flying
compulsory
rocks.
choice,
Yeah.
and I'll just do that with some cryptex around. That should be fun, right?
Well, in a friendly game, it probably would be fun.
It'd be so dumb. I'm not buying 3 sets of that for that.
That's why printer go burr.
Printer does go burr. It also goes thump when you have a fully loaded build plate and it detaches from the FEP.
Oh, I've seen some horror stories lately on some of the 3D printing groups.
Oh, do tell.
Oh, there's just been, for some reason, there has just been plate failure after plate failure.
Oh,
Some of them has,
that's because they're not calibrating their printer properly.
yeah. One of them cracked the screen, had resin going in
Oh,
it, but the screen was still working, so it's cured resin inside the machine.
ugh, on top
Oh,
of the UV lamp.
yeah.
Look,
Told you, absolute nightmare fuel for 3D
that is
printers.
a nightmare. That's why it's very important to
Yeah.
at least check your VAT after every print, because
Yep.
otherwise, when that build plate comes down, it will push anything that's in there straight through the FEP into your screen. And if it's a big piece of debris, bye bye screen.
It's not hard. It doesn't take long, and if it's going to potentially save you the cost of a brand new printer, just do it.
Mm. I mean, at
Like
the moment, I'm cleaning my VAT out every single print just because I don't want any to fail, and cleaning a VAT is not difficult.
no, it's really not.
And it allows you to inspect the FEP, inspect the screen, inspect it all, and make sure it's all in good working order so that you don't end up with these horror stories. And
Mm.
on top of
I
that, I mean, we're getting a bit off topic here, but
us no.
you if you have a resin 3D printer and you have not downloaded a calibration plate, do it, print it, and dial in your layer exposures properly.
Mm.
Because overexposing will, first of all, your prints will come out bloated and the detail won't be as good, which no one wants. But on top of that, it wears out your UV lamp sooner. And obviously, if you underexpose, the print doesn't hold together and it drops off the plate. And it's just not a good time. So calibrate, dial it in properly so that you know you have the proper exposure times. Because resin 3D printing is really easy to do, provided you actually do it properly.
Well, see, that's the thing. It really is about the upkeep. As long as you can keep up the upkeep, you are fine.
Hmm.
It's pure laziness that will see a lot of the failures, as
Oh,
far as
look.
what I can
Well,
see.
here's the thing. When it comes to calibration, it's you have to, if you change resins, you need to recalibrate because
Mhm.
different resins will absorb the UV light. But if you're just using the same resin, you calibrate once and then you know that it's set right. You know that
Yeah.
for example, with my LDOO2R Creality unit, um, 3.5 second exposures for Aurora water washable red translucent resin. And if I ever change that resin, then I've got to recalibrate it. But that
Yeah.
prints perfectly every time without failures.
Just do the work.
Yeah.
That's simple.
It's that simple. It's very, very
And it
simple.
doesn't take long to do it.
No, it really doesn't, which is the craziest thing as to how these things fail.
Yeah. I could forgive 1 or 2 times if you just haven't done it.
I
But
couldn't. I'm a
yeah,
horrible
you
person, though. I mean, it's not hard to do these things, and most of the booklets say to do these things when you get your printer. It comes with an instruction booklet on how to use the damn machine.
Not only that, if you have a 3D printer, you can probably use a computer, which means you have the internet.
That too.
There will be a step-by-step, there will be multiple step-by-step videos showing you how to do it on your specific unit.
Mm-hmm. It's really easy to do. And also, another thing about 3D printers that really grinds my gears, since we're now talking about 3D printers and things that upset me greatly. Thanks, Callum.
You're welcome.
Don't go around saying that it only costs you, however many dollars to print a thing, and
Yeah.
only talk about the cost of the resin, because there's all the stuff you need to wash the print off and cure it, wear and tear on the machine, if you've got to replace FEPs or screens because you're a dickhead and you can't be bothered to calibrate your machine correctly. And then on top of that, the amount of time that it takes you to do that processing, your time is worth money.
Yeah. Just because you've worked out a print will cost you $1.35, that's only in resin. You only worked out what volume of resin you'll be using.
Yeah.
You have worked out how much resin has cost you for that print.
Yes.
Actually, no. You have worked out how much that one specific piece, not the rest of the resin that you're going to have to pour out.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I mean, you wash your vat, you've lost a little bit of resin there. The resin that's still stuck to it that you wash off, there's some more. It's not as simple as that. I mean, I've seen people that have like printed out entire Titans and be like, oh, it only cost me like $300 to print this. And it's like, okay, no, it cost you $300 of resin to print this. You didn't factor in any of these other things, which
No.
it's one of the things that really frustrates me when people say, oh, James' workshop needs to watch out because resin 3D printing is going to put him out of business. Like, no, it's fucking not.
It won't, no. Because people are too damn lazy to clean their plates. Like,
Yes.
this is what we're talking about.
But on top of that, I mean, to sculpt the things that you're printing, these sculpts don't just come out of nowhere. Someone spent a lot of time to actually design these things.
And you can't just get everything off Thingiverse. You, at some point, will have to probably
to be
buy
honest,
something you want.
most of the sculpts on Thingiverse are pretty bad.
Yes. Like,
I mean, I downloaded a Elsa doll for my daughter that she wanted printed. I spent 2 hours fixing the sculpt before I could print it, because if you'd just taken that and loaded it into a slicer, the computer just would have said no.
Yeah.
Or it would have tried to print and you would have just had a blob on your build plate.
And look, I find a lot of people, a lot of professional people, or professional companies that are making SEL designs, the supports are not fantastic.
Oh, never buy pre-supported models.
You've just, a little bit more work has got to be done by someone that actually understands what's going to happen. Like, you can't just stick a pole there and it'll
not
be fine.
even that.
Like,
when it comes to supporting miniatures for resin 3D printing, you've got to support it slightly differently for every single resin and machine combination.
Yeah.
Because you want to use as few supports as possible, because when you break the supports off, it looks crap.
That's black. Yeah.
You probably want to hollow the miniature out if it's a big one. If it's just like infantry, then it's fine to print solid. But if you're printing something big, definitely hollow it out. Otherwise, you're using a lot of resin.
Yeah.
Which is just not great for the planet. Hollow your miniatures. But you need to support it differently, even down to the FEP you use. And it's something that comes with experience, because not all FEPs are made equally. And unless you're familiar with it, then you might need more support. You might be able to get away with less. And if you buy a pre-supported STL file, you're in a situation where either A, it doesn't have enough supports because they supported it for what the average printer would need, and your printer may need more support than that, or it's then over supported and you're leaving detail on the table.
Yeah.
There's my rant about 3D printing for the day.
I'm sorry, everybody. I shouldn't have brought this up.
Look, 3D printing is great, but it's not about to replace injection molding anytime soon.
No, it's really not.
But look,
I know it's expensive to.
that and 3D printers, good 3D printers are not the cheapest thing to get if you're planning to print miniatures.
Yeah. Like, you can get some great results at home, but you are still not printing anywhere near what a lot of these professional companies are using with industrial quality machines.
Oh yeah.
Highly high. They're so different to what you can just go and buy from Elegoo or whoever.
Yeah, your home 3D printer.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong. Modern home desktop 3D printers are freaking incredible.
Yeah.
But it's not
for
injection.
For $500, you can go and get your photon. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, and
it'll do a lot of stuff.
Do great, provided that you're willing to put in the time to calibrate it correctly, learn it, understand it, and do it properly. That's the other thing that no one ever factors in. Resin 3D printing produces chemical waste you have to dispose of correctly.
Yeah, down the drain for the dolphins.
And if you're just pouring it down the drain for the dolphins, when the dolphins mutate and rise up and enslave us all, it's all your fault.
No. I'll be. I'm gonna be the biggest turncoat. I'm going with the dolphins.
Oh, so am I.
I'm a great swimmer.
I'm blaming Joe Blogs down the road for pouring resin down the drain. But
alrighty,
look,
so we're almost at the end. What's our over under?
Oh right, over under. I didn't have one for this week because we had some great topics to talk about, and then we talked about resin 3D printing instead.
I have an over.
Okay, let's talk over.
Okay, let's just do the over. The Iron Here Champion.
You just double its points cost. Problem solved.
No, I don't think it does.
Wait, what? Damn it.
Because this thing is only like 130 points.
Okay, so now it's 260 points. Problem solved, right?
No.
You can solve any problem by doubling the points cost.
I still don't like if we saw this kind of choppy ability on something that was 260 points, I think everyone would be saying, maybe it should cost 300.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because the potential, not only the max potential is one thing, but the potential, not the potential, sorry. Max potential is one thing, but what it's been, I know I roll a little bit hot, but what it's been doing for me.
What did you say the name of it was?
The Iron Here Champion.
What faction is it?
Leagues of Votan.
Oh, of course it's Votan.
EI and HYI.
There it is. Iron Here.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem that terrifying so far. Well, I think it's just your broken rolling that's giving you a warped perception of it.
To be fair, I do roll very, very well with it. In saying that, at nowhere near its max potential, it one-shot 3 Virtus Praetors.
Okay, that's broken. Triplets points cost. Problem solved.
And this is something that only actually has 4 attacks.
I'm kind of befuddled as to how it took out that many Virtus Praetors.
To be fair, the banana save was not fantastic. It was 4, right. And I rolled a 2 and 3.
You were playing against Zach.
No, I was using Zach's models, but I was rolling.
The curse is attached to anything Zach owns then.
So that has been confirmed by my following.
I
On
thought I
YouTube and
already said
TikTok.
no saying the C word.
No. They are cursed. It is widely believed that the bananas that have appeared on the channel are cursed.
Because they belong to
'Cause
Zach. Look,
it's just
I think I know what it is. He
it's that.
refuses to paint his own miniatures.
Yeah, it's
If you
I'm
don't
sorry,
paint your own
commission painters.
miniatures, if you don't paint your own miniatures, you will be cursed, and it's all Callum's fault.
No. It's not my fault. It's because you're lazy.
It is because you're lazy. Just paint
But
your
no,
own damn miniatures.
yeah, but no, this thing for me has been absolutely disgusting.
It looks fine.
I
I think it's just Zach's miniatures are cursed. Let's be honest. Here's how we fix it. Zach paints his own miniatures. Go pee in the cup and strip off the miniatures that
Mhm.
you've painted for him. Send them back to him with some paint. Make him paint them himself, and then the curse will be lifted, and the Iron Here champion will no longer be overpowered.
Well, see, it's also the curse extends a little further on because Drazar took out Trajan Valores.
Trajan absolutely deserved it.
Oh, 100%.
Was it the Trajan that was not wearing a helmet?
Yes.
See, there's the problem.
No helmet
Yeah,
Trajan.
just wear your damn helmet. It will save your life.
Yeah. Then most recently we had Shield Captain on
God.
bike taken out by a Swarm Lord.
Look, to be fair, the Swarm Lord is pretty choppy.
He is pretty choppy. He's not bad, but yeah. Oh, actually, sorry. The night before that, we had a 2-part series where Chaos Terminators took out 3 of the banana guards.
Mm.
There has not been a banana that has won on my channel, and that's because there's Zach's models.
Yeah, that seems fair.
I at this point, I'm willing to say that I could put 3 skinks against the Blade Wizard, and the Blade Wizard
Do it.
isn't walking away.
Do it. It'll be funny.
I
Ooh,
have a conversion chart.
look, put him against Necron Warriors because that was the other thing that was impressive that happened this week.
I actually have a Techromancer on sprue somewhere.
My squad of Necron Warriors got charged by an Eversaur assassin.
Yes,
They then killed it in close combat.
they did.
Only just, but still technically killed it, which was very funny. There was some very lucky rolls on the Necron's behalf there, and it probably helped that the Eversaur, because we were playing with the open war cards, there was a rule that you couldn't charge unless you were within 7 inches, so you can't charge out a deep strike. So he had to move forward, and he got shot for a turn first. He was on like 2 wounds when he charged. He took Overwatch to the face, losing 1 wound. And then he took axes on the end of Gauss Flayers to the face, losing his last wound. After he took down a couple of warriors, which then proceeded to roll 6s for their reanimation and got back up and then chopped him.
Well, see, that is entirely Chris's fault and karma for being so stupid to draw that card and then still put it into deep strike.
Yes.
Why would you do it knowing that you can't charge out of deep strike? So let's put my choppy assassin into
It was
deep strike.
most amusing. I think it was just a bit of a brain fart. He didn't expect warriors to be able to take it out like that.
True. To be quite fair, I actually would have expected to be not even made it to combat, but just got shot the hell out of.
Oh, it almost didn't make it to
after
combat.
dropping and not being able to do anything.
It also took mortal wounds from a Tesseract Vault. But that's all we have time for this evening. Right, the Iron Here champion. I don't know, put its points up a little bit. I don't think it's as good as Cal's making it out. He's just playing it against Zach's cursed bananas.
Look, it's pretty. It is crazy good, but maybe a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, maybe a bit more. I wouldn't make it that
fine.
much more. It doesn't seem that ridiculous.
The ridiculous part is when it's a HQ option and you can take 3 of them in a list.
Well, maybe that's the fix. Just make it so that you can only take 1.
Take 1.
Yeah.
Make it an elite and you can only have 1 of them.
Even if it's still a HQ, you can only take one of
Yeah.
them. It's. I mean, the data sheet itself's not that gross, to be honest. It's
No, it's
strong,
just
don't get me wrong,
effective.
but it's.
-1 damage, -1 to wound.
And keep in mind when I say it's not that gross, I mean compared to the rest of Votan.
Perfectly average compared to the rest of Votan.
Yes, but that's
But he's also doing mortal wounds when he charges just for being there.
yes. I
I
mean,
love him though.
he's fine. Look, I'll fight you with him, and I'll just mortal wound him to death.
And if you don't want to give him a 4++, you can give him teleport.
It's fine.
You can pick. It's up to you.
Well, at least you can't take both.
Well, yeah, that is the thing.
But look, go find yourself a mental health charity and donate some money to it because it's the right thing to do because mental health is very important. Like, subscribe, do whatever happens on Twitch and Facebook. I haven't gone on Facebook in ages because it is toxic, cancerous bullshit. Thanks, Zuckerberg. And we will see you all next time.